Hi y'all, welcome to Kangen Culture TV. I'm Elizabeth and welcome to today's introduction to Kangen water. I'm going to speak a little bit about Kangen water and a little bit about what's going on in the water around the world today. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'll share this screen. And actually what we're going to do here is just kind of check in. This quote here by Leonardo da Vinci is one of my favorites. Water is the driving force of all nature. And above that quote, you can see basically how the water cycle happens every day around the earth. So here's some H2O facts. You can go ahead and read some for yourself. The ones that stick out to me are how many gallons of water it takes to make a gallon of milk. And at 1 drip per second, 3,000 gallons of water is being wasted every year by just one little drip. So there are things that I think that are very important that we become aware of, and I'm here to share them with you today. First, I'd like to set this disclaimer that I'm not a medical doctor or really anything close to that. I did become a massage therapist some years back, and though I'm not practicing anymore, I still have an awareness of human anatomy and how it works, but I'm not here to diagnose or treat or make medical claims. I'm just here to educate and share information and my experience. So enjoy. Did y'all know that there is a global water crisis going on now? There's a lot of people that don't, and it's not new information. Here's what's going on our planet. As humans, we only have access to about 4% of fresh water, but we don't really even have access to that 4%. With 96% of the water on our planet having salt in it, being saline water, I know there are a lot of advancements trying to be discovered about how to turn that saline water into drinkable water, so desalination is happening. But of that, on here it says 3.5%, so it's somewhere in there. The information is sometimes hard to get the same everywhere. So of that 3.5 to 4%, almost 70% of it is locked up in ice and snow, in the ice caps and glaciers, and in snow, or in the groundwater, under the ground. So our actual access to fresh water is very, very limited. And so no wonder there's a global water crisis when our population levels go up and our water doesn't necessarily go up. Like I said before, this isn't anything new. Here are some articles that I found quickly online that I just put up on there so you can see. Most of us know about the Flint, Michigan water situation and how Nestle came in to save the day. There's algae growing all over in the waters. Down in the river that I used to live by, the Eel River in California, it was about August, September. Dogs aren't encouraged to swim in the river anymore because of the algae that grows there can make them sick and die. So there's a lot of water things going on around our planet and have been for a long time. And a lot of people don't know about this concept of water stress. The places in dark blue are places where there's no stress, where there's an abundance of clean water available to the populations. Where the dark red or maroon color, there is very high water stress. And what we won't see is those places that are very, very red with high water stress ever be blue again, because the water is not getting any cleaner and not becoming more available in those places where it's run out. Now, when I look at this, I get an idea, oh, well, that makes sense. The blue's close to the polar caps, and also like in the Amazon there in South America, there's large aquifers in some of these continents. But when I look at a picture like this, that looks stressful to me. These people are having to come to this well, and there's a lot of people. How many would you say? I don't know, 60, 75 people And they're not carrying plastic water jugs, they're carrying actual pottery to dip down into this well to get water and then to carry who knows how far back to their home. And unfortunately, this water gathering is affecting women and children most around the world. Women and children are spending the most time collecting water, up to between 3 and 6 hours a day to collect clean water, to deal with, household bathing and cooking. And there's no time for education. There's no time for mothers to be teaching their children anything other than the basic skills that are necessary to survive. And I think that that's a tragedy. Jacques Cousteau says water cycle and the life cycle are one in the same. Life depends on water, and water doesn't necessarily depend on life, but it definitely affects it, and we know that today. Here's another thing that affects our water is contamination. All of these pictures here lead back to human acts. So this is all really human contamination. It's called agricultural and it's called industrial. And it's really sad that we're not seeing how these are going to have long-term effects on us. Personally, I believe these contaminations are having long-term effects on us, and they're showing up in our bodies. The health in America today is definitely struggling, and this is what it looks like. These are some of the most common diseases or diseases that are on the rise. The fact that cardiovascular disease kills a person every 38 seconds is not good. It's unacceptable, really, because what's happening is that the heart and the arteries and everything are getting clogged, are getting hardened by different chemical contaminants, and other things like respiratory disease are showing up because of different things, not only in our water, also in our food, also in our air. And those are 3 things that we as humans need in order to thrive, not just survive, but thrive. The cost of these diseases is astronomical. There is so much money going into, it's not even our healthcare system, it's our sick care system. And the amount of money that's going in to these diseases, the research, the care, the medications, all of those things can be diverted if we clean up our act, really, our health. So the benefits of staying hydrated are huge. Here are some of them. Muscle fuel, or if you're working out and you get a lot of lactic acid in, the only thing that can really flush that out is water. So it's a toxic remover, removes toxins from our body. It can boost our productivity because a hydrated mind is much more efficient than a dehydrated mind. Lubricates our joints, helps control our caloric intake, balances our blood as well as our blood sugar sometimes, and is a buster of fatigue. I mean, that's huge these days. We don't have to drink coffee. We can just get hydrated. So how do you know if your water is safe? Fortunately, here in the US, it is required that water districts disclose what chemical contaminants are found in the water above the federal health guidelines. If you live in the United States, you can go to www.ewg.org, and that's there at the bottom of the page. It's the Environmental Working Group. It's not associated with a Magic or Kangen or any of those things. What you do is you go down to the National Tap Water Database and you fill in your zip code. And what's going to pop up is what's going on in the water. So this here on the right side of the screen are the contaminants found in the water in the house that I'm in right now in Alderwood, Washington. So there's 7 here that are above the health guidelines, and then 9 others that are detected. Now there's a lot more contaminants in here that are not above the health guidelines and that are not detectable. But if you look at the ones on the left, the 7 contaminants, and go down, most of those are cancer-causing contaminants. Here we have chloroform. Chloroform was used back in the day to basically inoculate patients before they had surgeries. Or in creepy movies, they use chloroform to take a person out before they, who knows what, murder them or something. Hexavalent chromium is the topic of the movie Erin Brockovich, and she worked for years to get rights for the people who were being affected by the chromium in forms of cancer and tumors and all sorts of things. So all of these are not good. Go ahead and look up your water in your house if you live in the US and do a little research on those things that are coming out of the tap. So there's alternatives, and that's fortunate. Let's see, put me somewhere. We have here boiling water or making a homemade filter, rain catchment, especially out here in the Pacific Northwest, there's a lot of rain to be caught, or bottled water delivery. Unfortunately, boiling water is very time consuming, and it's difficult to boil enough water to sometimes please a whole household. A homemade water filter is impractical for daily use unless you do something very intricate, and it's also time consuming. Rain catchment, unfortunately, is illegal in some places, and bottled water delivery is expensive over time. It's harmful to the environment, and honestly, the water is not that great because there are tiny pieces of plastic chemicals that are going back into the water. There are reverse osmosis and realkaline systems. These are set up sometimes whole house systems, sometimes just single faucet systems. The alkaline cartridge in realkalization is often utilizing inorganic minerals to realkaline the water. And we don't have a lot of proof of what consuming inorganic minerals does over long periods of time. I have personally experienced large amounts of inorganic minerals collecting in my kidneys at one point in my life and creating kidney stones. Some people believe that the inorganic minerals collecting in joints and tissues can create things like arthritis. So personally, I don't know if these systems, that realkaline systems, are that great for our body over a long period of time. I do, however, know that reverse osmosis systems were created to work in places like the Navy, like on the ships, so that they could reuse the water over and over again. Because these systems, what they do is they strip all minerals from the water, all minerals, good and bad. Now, we have minerals in our body, and we do need minerals to function. If we drink something that has no minerals in it, what will happen is minerals from our bones and our tissues will actually then be pulled from our bodies, showing up in things like osteoarthritis or degenerative diseases. The other thing is that these systems are quite expensive. There are reverse osmosis systems that are small and can go under the sink for $200, $300, $400, $500. Whole house systems are starting right around $8,000 and go up from there, plus maintenance costs along the way, because as you can see in the picture before, there's a lot of filters and cartridges and things like that to replace. You always have the option to drill for water, and I personally saw this done when I was living out in a mountain in California. I got to live there for a few years and drink some of the most amazing artesian well water off the top of a mountain, and it was wonderful. The process, however, was not so wonderful. So gentlemen came out, started pumping for water. All this mess goes all over the ground, and I found out later that there's a lot of chemicals in that. It's like a foaming agent to help to extract the water. And ultimately it was a mess, and it took 2 or 3 days for them to find water. We were really grateful that they did, but it left a mess. And the system, or to get the well drilled, was more than $5,500. Let me just tell you that. But this is the average cost of drilling a well, is about $5,500. Now, after that, then a pump needs to be put in, and it averages around $5,000 for a system, depending on where you are and how accessible you are. On top of that, there's permitting, maintenance costs, and annual testing. It is so incredibly important that people who have wells get their wells tested annually. That means just often, every 2 years is the recommendation. However, if you have anyone living above you where there's runoff of any sort, I'd support you in testing once a year. There's also no guarantee that you'll find water. Over 15 million US households obtain their drinking water from private wells, which are not covered by the United States Environmental Protection Agency, or the EPA, regulations that protect public drinking water systems. That's a lot of people drinking water that hasn't necessarily been tested or isn't maintained. And a lot of sicknesses do come from unclean water. There's about 800 children that die every day because they don't have access to either water or clean water and get sicknesses associated with parasites and things like that. So drilling for water is always an option. It's just not always a cost-friendly option, and it's not a guaranteed option. This one I just put in here because I think it's fun. There are ways that we can clean up water just using the sun. So I put this in here because there are a lot of different solutions to our water crisis, and it's important that we look at all of them. So this is the solution that I found to be important enough for me to crawl out of my introverted ways and share this with people. This is a Nenagic water ionizer, and this is how an ionizer works. So you go ahead and you hook it up. Here's the SD501 Platinum, and this is the K8, and there are more machines than just these two. These are just the two most popular. So we hook up the machine to a faucet. I've even hooked it up to a hose, and I've even hooked it up to a hose where we utilized gravity feed. So it goes through this filter right here, and this filter removes 99.9% of contaminants. Then the water is run between these plates. These plates are platinum dipped titanium, and the water runs through and is electrocuted. So what happens when water is electrocuted, which happens in nature all of the time, lightning strikes water all of the time. It's like 8 million times a day, lightning strikes, and often it hits water. It creates a disassociation, so it changes the water. In this machine, when the water gets electrocuted, the water splits. And it splits into 2 streams of water. So we have alkaline water and acidic water. So out of the machine, there's 2 hoses. There's always alkaline water coming out of one and acidic water coming out of the other. And there are so many uses for both types of water. We're not going to go over all of them today, but we'll go over a few. So Kangen is a Japanese word because this is a Japanese technology, and it's a word that means return to origin. Let me get myself out of the way here. Return to origin. Over 50 years ago, the Russians were studying these places around the world called the blue zones. They were finding out that people were living long, healthier lives in these regions, and they began studying the air, the soil, the food, and the water. And they found in these places that there was a large amount of molecular hydrogen in the water. And whether it was coming from lightning strikes or waterfalls or glacial runoff, there was an electric charge in all of these waters, making it living water. There's places where people travel from far distances to collect water that they call healing water. And often these healing waters are filled with abundance of molecular hydrogen and have a higher than normal pH balance. This water is called H2 water. It's not called H2O because when it's electrocuted and disassociated and has that electrical charge, it loses the oxygen molecule. What does that mean? It sounds really scientific. What that means is Kangen water, which is a trademark patented name, meaning no other thing can be close to it, is an antioxidant. It is the most bioavailable antioxidant in a liquid form that you can get in your house. We can't eat or drink enough fresh fruits, vegetables, or fruit and vegetable juices to equal 1 10-ounce glass of Kangen water, even if we were eating all day and all night. That is amazing. And if you take anything away from this today, take away that this is antioxidant rich water, all right? So antioxidant, what is it? It's the antigen to oxidation. What is oxidation? It's rusting, it's aging. So consuming antioxidants allows our cells to not age as fast. It slows down the process just a little bit. It helps with cellular repair. It supports our system in being the best that it can be. That's just one thing. What else do we have here? It is great for athletes because of recovery time. Like I said before, if you worked out today and you have lactic acid, drinking some H2 water and having those antioxidants go in and hydrate the body and pull out anything that's not useful, whew, so good. Recovery time, much faster. Supports, what else? Oh, supports our ATP production. Anti-inflammatory, that is huge. So anyone who has anything inflamed, and at my age, I don't know anyone who doesn't have something inflamed or creating it through exercise or dancing or whatever we're doing these days. It stimulates our energy metabolism, which helps to prevent weight gain, but also helps to promote weight loss if that's what's needed. It's great. Hydrating the lungs is great for you know, breathing. Anyone who has lung issues or asthma, and it's just amazing. So here are some of the uses. One machine, 7 different kinds of waters, like thousands of uses. So our highest pH water is the 11.5 pH, which is a degreaser. It emulsifies oil, which means that we can use it as a laundry detergent because most laundry detergents are just emulsifiers, degreasers. What else can we use that? Oh, we can clean our fruits and vegetables with 11.5 pH water. A lot of our fruits and vegetables have herbicides and pesticides, all oil-based on them. So if we're just putting it under a 7.0 pH tap water, we're not able to actually get those oils off the fruits and vegetables. When we put it in 11.5 pH water, it emulsifies those oils and gets it off, and it shows up in there, and it's oily and greasy, and you can feel it coming off your fruits and vegetables. The 8.5 to 9.5 pH waters are mostly utilized for drinking and cooking, though there are a lot of plants that like these waters too. The clean water, which is always available. Even if our power goes out, we still have clean water that has been filtered, no matter what. The beauty water is amazing for our skin. It works as a great toner, tightener, mirrors and glass, so clean. So you can use it instead of glass cleaner, you know, throw away the glass cleaner. We don't need those contaminants anymore in our homes. What else? Oh, the beauty water is also great for plants. My whole garden, beauty water only. They love it as a foliar feed, and they also love drinking it. And last but definitely not least is the 2.5 strong acidic water. So you can see the 11.5 is strong alkaline water, 7.0 is neutral, and the 2.5 is very acidic. Now 2.5 water, it's good water. But what we have here, and we're going to go into it, is that it's a 2.5 hypochlorous acid. The only way that 2.5 water can be hypochlorous acid is if the ionizer utilizes a small amount of salt. There's no way to get the strength of hypochlorous acid without electrocuting salt, a tiny bit of salt in the water. This water is utilized in the Japanese hospitals to clean their medical equipment. It's also utilized in wound care, burn care. I use it myself instead of like Listerine for my mouth. I just rinse out my mouth a couple of times a day. Now, if the Japanese doctors, who they take their jobs very seriously, if they're utilizing this water that is 50 times stronger than bleach, but non-toxic, I mean, I put it in my mouth. I would never put bleach in my mouth. If the doctors are doing that, I trust this water. So I'm sanitizing my hands and my face, and especially with what's going on in the world today, I'm just sanitizing everything with this water that I don't have to be worried if it gets in my eye, or if the grandkids come to the house and accidentally take a sip, they're not going to get hurt by this water. So all sanitizers, Clorox, 409, all the sprays that go under the counter that are toxic and bad for children and animals and humans alike, this water can replace that. This next slide, here's a warning, is a little bit graphic. It has to do with a wound. So if you're uncomfortable or squeamish about wounds, then turn your head for just this next slide and I'll let you know when it's over. But here we have an amputation, and it was treated, here I'll move this again. It was treated with hypochlorous acid. The stump was cleaned with the hypochlorous acid, and the dressings were dipped in hypochlorous acid before redressing the wound. In 3 weeks. So this is a before and after of 3 weeks using only hypochlorous acid. And that is impressive to me. This is a reason why I tell people about this water a lot, is because it's so useful. I've even seen this water take away a sunburn within a couple of hours on a small child too. So what we've got here, moving on, is a shout out to whatsonmyfood.org. If you're curious about some of these herbicides, pesticides, insecticides, germicides, fungicides, all the sides, which sides, C-I-D-E-S, means death in Latin. Suicide, homicide, it's all associated with death. So these people here are spraying all these sides on food, and whatsonmyfood.org will tell you what's on your food. Go ahead on there and say, hey, what's on my apples? What's on my strawberries? And it will show you. Now, this agrochemical industry is growing at a rapid rate because bugs and things like that are mutating and things. So they're having to constantly stay up on the strongest chemicals that they can get by using on our food. And I don't know anyone who likes the flavor of pesticides, but I do know that a lot of people don't even know that there's pesticides on their food. There's a lot of toxic chemicals in, like I was speaking about the laundry detergent, and here's one of them, sodium silicate. There's fragrances and stabilizers and brighteners and phosphates and 1.4 dioxane and cleaning agents or surfactants, and they're all chemicals. And we're washing our clothes in them, and then we're wearing our clothes, and when there's a beautiful day like today, we go out and sweat a little bit, those chemicals in our clothes transfer through our skin and get inside of our body. So how do we eliminate these contaminants that we're consuming, and how do we eliminate these contaminants that we are utilizing in our laundry detergents and other detergents and cleaners? With 11.5 pH water. This stuff is amazing. And if you work out, this stuff is really, really amazing as a pre and post workout. We can also utilize it as a before bedtime drink. I drink about 3-4 ounces before I go to bed. And what it does is it helps to release the melatonin in my brain before bed. So I wash my vegetables in this 11.5 water. I wash my clothes in this 11.5 water. I haven't bought laundry detergent for years now because of this 11.5 pH water. When I was buying laundry detergent, I had to utilize the special detergent that was twice as expensive because of my sensitive skin. I was a sufferer of eczema at the time, but no more detergents anymore for me, which is so nice because I was spending about $45 a month just on my special laundry detergent, and I don't have to do that anymore. And I don't even have to walk down this aisle in the grocery store anymore with all those stinky smells and stuff. It just would give me a headache instantly. So think about it. It's a big one. Saving $45 a month just in laundry detergent and not having to throw away those plastic bottles anymore that end up in the ocean. Whew, it's worth it for me. Here are some of the other chemicals that are found in beauty products that people use. I mean, deodorant, I don't know if that's a beauty product, but I know a lot of people use it. Nail polish, lotions, lipstick, toothpaste, shampoo. And then look onto the right side. These are known side effects to these chemicals that are being used too much. They shouldn't be in these things. There are natural versions of all of these things, and a lot of them we can make in our house with things that we already have. The beauty water can replace a lot of these things. All the waters can. So that 11.5 pH water, that's a degreaser, it's better than makeup remover because it's just water. So it's hydrating our skin while degreasing it at the same time. This beauty water is the pH of our skin, 5.8 pH of our skin, and it tones it, it tightens it. This beauty water can also be utilized to make pastas and rice because it's slightly acidic and helps bring out the flavor of those foods. Like I said, spraying it on plants and watering the plants, they just really enjoy it. So we have a choice. We can keep doing what we're doing, buying bottled water, chemical cleaners, detergents, beauty products that contain chemicals and contaminants, or we can buy this system and have all of these waters and never have to purchase any of those things ever again. To me, it's a no-brainer, but I know that everybody likes to do their research. This company, Enagic, E-N-A-G-I-C, Energy and Magic is what they put together to create the name. They've done their research. So these certifications, ISO certifications and patents, are all backed by the Japanese Ministry of Health. And like I said, Japanese doctors, they take their job very, very seriously. The Japanese Ministry of Health is made up of 6,500 doctors. They're not going to put their name on something that they don't believe in. Not only that, Japan is ranked number 2 behind Spain. They go back and forth. Spain and Japan's number 1, number 2. And for the longest life expectancy worldwide, their average life expectancy is 85.3 years. Here in the US, we are ranked 43 with an average life expectancy of 80 years. Now, I'm not saying it's all associated to water. Diet, exercise, relationships, all of those things play a huge role in our life expectancy. But what if changing one thing in your life gave you a few extra years? Because I know what I'd do with an extra 5.3 years. but consider what would you do? Or maybe you're good, but 5.3 years is a long time, and there's a lot of living that can be done during that time. Our business model is patented, meaning there's nothing out there like it. We are a direct sales company. We've been around for over 45 years, which is amazing, with all good standards. The people are amazing, and it's just, yeah, there's nothing bad to say about Enagic. Here are the products. So we've got here a machine, a water ionizer for all shapes and sizes, families, homes, businesses, whatever you want to do, villages. So go ahead and look on there and see, hey, you know, that Super 501 commercial, that's something that would be utilized for whomever's wanting to make a lot of that 11.5 or 2.5 pH waters. It's good for gyms, restaurants, greenhouses. There's all kinds of stuff. But then if you go down, let's see, the Junior, the JR2, Level Up JR2. That's a good one for a couple with one child, a single person, maybe has some pets. I also really like traveling with the Junior because it's very, very convenient. And we have there down at the bottom, the Anespa. The Anespa is Enagic's remedy for the shower, because the same contaminants that are coming out of our kitchen sinks is coming out of our shower heads. So those hexavalent chromiums and chlorine. I didn't even mention chlorine in here, but if you do research on chlorine in the human body, what you'll find is very, very fascinating, and that we don't need to be inhaling warm chlorine water coming out of the faucet. So the Anespa is the perfect remedy for that. The Ukon turmeric. So Ukon is the Japanese word for turmeric. If you don't know about turmeric, definitely go on and do a little bit of research. The number one thing that I find the most important thing about turmeric is that it's anti-inflammatory. Like I said before, anything anti-inflammatory is going to take relief off the joints, the lungs, all the organs, our skin. So the turmeric, which is grown over there in Japan, the cows that fertilize the turmeric fields, they drink Kangen water. All the turmeric is cleaned utilizing this water. So it is a very, very, very good nutraceutical if you're looking for one of those. Don't get hung up on the cost. So you see a couple $1,000s. I used to too, see a couple $1,000s, like, whoa. But it's hard to know the value of this machine until you have one, because like I said, there's just hundreds and thousands of uses. If you want this machine, you're already spending the money but not getting the benefits. And here are some ways that we're doing that. Laundry detergent. Like I said, I was spending about $40 a month. So this is the low end, 25 bucks a month, say you spend on laundry detergent. Eating out, $120 a month. Skincare and beauty, $60 a month. That's maybe a gym membership and a haircut. Cleaning products, $45 a month. That varies depending on your household. But if you're in a household with a bunch of kids, that's about right, $45 a month. So that's about $245 a month that could be utilized to purchase one of these ionizers. Other common habits right here, well, you can go ahead and look at them. You know, no judgment here on habits, but there are places that we can pull money from. And if you read the book, The Latte Factor by David Bach, you'll see where we are spending money where we might not necessarily be having any return on investment. This is definitely an investment in family and health and potentially business too. If you'd like to do research, I just ask that you do it responsibly. There are so many things on the internet today, and if you just Google Kangen water, there's going to be a lot that comes up. Please, please do not Google alkaline water. Kangen water is not alkaline water. Kangen water is H2 water. It's molecular hydrogen. It's electrolyzed reduced water. It's restructured water. It's also called ionized water if you want to look up that, but definitely go through PubMed or Google Scholar to get your information, because I wouldn't want you to go in a direction where you get led astray and don't get the proper education. So how about conservation? How about it? The quality of our children's future water depends solely on the choices we make today. And it's not just our children, it's just our planet, it's our friends, it's the rivers and the lakes and the waterfalls. And let's look into conservation. Here are some more places where water is, we'll cover up the jeans. Although one pair of jeans costing 2,000 gallons of water, that's a lot. I would have never guessed that. What else do we have on here? One car that has 4 tires costs 39,000 gallons of water. When I started looking at water as a currency, it changed. It changed how I reacted in my home about things. We don't run the water when we're brushing our teeth. We stop it. We don't take endless showers. We turn the water off in between. We try to stay within our means when it comes to our water consumption. And just becoming aware that it costs a lot of water to live these days is, well, it's elevating your understanding of what's going on, and that there are ways that we can all work together to make a difference. Here's some other tips on how to save water. Obviously, turning off the water while you're brushing your teeth, limiting your shower time, composting rather than using the garbage disposal. This is one I didn't know of at first, that the things I put down the garbage disposal, it's just everything we put down the drain, everything we flush down the toilet, everything we run down the street after washing our car is affecting the quality of our water today. I love this quote by John F. Kennedy. Anyone who can solve the problems of water will be worthy of 2 Nobel Prizes, one for peace and one for science. I want you to think about some of the stuff that you guys learned today. If you have any questions, concerns, feedback, I would love to hear from you. You can email me at kongenelizabeth@gmail.com. I'll put this up on Kangen Culture TV, and my Instagram is Liz and Lou Dog. You'll see me and my dog pack all doing our thing, and we're happy to have you along this journey. Also, if you're in the Seattle area, we have a meetup group. It's called Kangen Culture Healthy Living. And we encourage anyone who has a Kangen related, water related, health related, living related, anything, to let us know so we can put it up on our meetup, because we want to encourage people to get together, educate each other, and join in this. We're going to make a difference by cleaning up our water family. So thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it, and I hope this was helpful. Also, if there's anything that you'd like to hear about or that I haven't shared, let me know and I'll put something together for you. Peace, you guys. Have a wonderful day.